Hi, everyone. This is Professor Bowen-Moore. I am talking about creating a high fidelity prototype and app design in Figma um, in this video. Um, and once you're in Figma and you are in in my team and you're in the UI UX project, which is the project that I set up, um, and everyone in the class has been linked to it and invited. So make sure you're looking and getting the invite. Make sure you have verified your student status to get the educational license to be able to access the team and the page or the project. Once you get in here, then we can create a design. So you'll go up to the create button in the top right. Um, and we're just going to create a design. And from here, you'll start seeing, you'll see a blank space. A lot of the shortcuts here are the same as they are in Adobe and other programs. Command Z is undo, Command C is copy, Command V is paste. Like all the things are pretty similar. The Option key is duplicate. Um, when you click and hold that, when you're clicking on objects. So a lot of the shortcut keys are similar to Adobe or the same as what you would see in Adobe. At the bottom here, you're going to have your toolbar, which is not as extensive as what you see in Adobe, but it will do a lot of good things. So you have your move tool, kind of like Photoshop. You've got your frame tool. This sets up your screens. You've got your shape tool and line tool. You've got different things that you can do here. Text. Text is a little bit more limited in Figma, but you can find typefaces and import them as you need. Um, and on the left, you're going to see the name of the project. So over here, when you start your design, go ahead and rename it and label it just like you do with all projects. This would be your last name and then the project title. And then you'll have layers pop up automatically when you start designing in the space here. On the right is going to be where you will do a lot of the editing. And so you will have design mode, you'll have prototype mode, and in design mode, you're going to have things pop up as you work on the tool. So Figma is very similar to Adobe in many ways. It was actually almost bought by Adobe. So there's a lot of similarities here in terms of how it operates. So if I go to the frame tool down here, you'll see when I click on it, it's going to give me options for different types. So if I was designing for a tablet or desktop, mobile phone, which is what we're using, gives you a lot more preset options here. I like to use the 16 plus because that is what I actually have. So I'm going to click that. When you see it pop up, you're going to see a lot of new tools pop up over here. So we've got the appearance, we've got the opacity. We can curve the corners of any boxes. We have here, this is where we can get our color picker. We can punch in our hex codes here to get our specific brand colors, opacity, stroke weight or outlines and the colors for that, special effects like drop shadows. So you've got a lot of things here that you can work with on the side that kind of help you in the appearance of your screens. And at this point, if you're starting this, you should have already done your wireframes and kind of mapped out in your site mapping, kind of figured out like where things are going to go, how the navigation's supposed to work, and you should have tested that raw form of your prototype. That would be considered your low fidelity prototype. That should be tested and kind of worked out before you start on the final rendering because this will eat up your time if you're not prepared. Okay, so a lot of things should be solidified in your design and plan of the navigation and everything before you start this. Okay. And from here, you just start building background color. Then you can get your icons. What I like to do is I personally like using, you can get a lot of plugins from Figma, but with an educational license, it's really hard to get things for free there. Um, and I like to go for icons and things like that. I like to go to freeicons.io. Flaticon.com is also a good one. And I'll put these links in the modules, but you can come here, you can click on icons, you can type in anything like menu or, you know, you got a lot of menu options here. You can look up all your graphics for, your search, your there's so many different styles and designs of these basic icons for navigational things in your app. So what I like to do is I like to download the PNG or the SVG, either one. The PNG's the raster version, the SVG is the vector version of this. But both can work in web application or mobile application. So download them. I put them all. You can see my desktop. I've been experimenting and playing around with it myself, and you can see, I'm just kind of putting everything to my desktop till I'm done with the project, and then I'll consolidate all the files. But it's a matter of like you're just dragging and dropping. So once you have some of those things in place, or saved on your desktop, then I just drag them when I want to put them in place. They're all transparent backgrounds, so they fit perfectly. I've been exploring and working on different ones. And I'll kind of show you my example here, um, that I was just playing around with. And you can kind of see in the pages, you're going to be, once you kind of start setting them up, a lot of it's duplication, right? So it's the same things just kind of over and over again. So like I have my running bar at the top that's got my logo type. That acts as a home button. Search menu. Here's my drop hidden navigation. Here's my primary navigation when I first open the app. Um, Hidden navigation. Um, and right now I'm just showing the progression. So like if I were to click new arrangements, then it would lead to this. And then I will choose an item to look at it further. So here's the individual item page. And then I made duplicates to kind of indicate results of certain actions. So down here, I want someone to click, I understand that there's limited availability on this, so I show that checked so that when I am working, I'm thinking as if as it's becomes live, um, I'm showing like what the action is and the result of that action. Okay. So a lot of it in doing that is duplication. So that's where the option key comes into play. You can just click once you've designed a page. If you're duplicating it, you just hold the option key and it just duplicates the whole thing. And then you can add to, take away, whatever. All of these objects are separate text boxes. These are just shapes, rectangles, where and then I just curve the corners. So a lot of it's just building it. And once you get to the end, then you will go into prototype mode. Well, you'll still be in design mode as you create the hotspots. And what I like to do with the hotspots is I like to create, I'm still going to put rectangles over things. Like for instance, here, I'm going to make it transparent. So the box is here. I've just made it transparent, but I've got it around what I want to be clickable. So that is going to lead me here. And I'm showing the action of that result because I'm turning the menu to make it look like the menu's open. I'm also gonna when I after I create my hotspots, and that's basically all you do to create your hotspots. You just put boxes around what's going to be clickable, okay? And there's going to be a lot of duplicated hotspots, like your home page, like the logo type on the top of every screen. That's going to have a hotspot on every screen, so that no matter where we are in the app, if we click on that, it's going to lead us back to this page right here. Um, but once you've placed your hotspot or created your empty rectangles around them, then you're going to go into prototype mode. And when you go into prototype mode, when you scroll back over those boxes, you're going to see a little plus sign. And that little plus sign that's asking where does this little action here lead to? So I'm going to click on it and drag to whatever screen it's going to lead to. Okay. And then as I do that, that's going to pop up on my screen and I can give some of the interaction triggers, like if it's a tap, if it's a drag, if it's showing up, while I'm hovering, or if I have to press the action, it can swipe from the left. You can make it go back or scroll, but it's going to navigate to, and then it's giving this destination, which is where I've dragged it to. You can make it a dissolve. It can move in, move out, push, slide in. You've got different things, or it can just be an instant animation. And once you've decided what you want here, you just close out. And that's all you do to create the interactivity. We're not doing code. Figma allows us to create interactivity without using code. Okay. And once you've created all your links, it's going to look all crazy because you're going to have arrows going a bunch of different ways and directions. But once you have your prototype or the navigation set up, then you can go back to your original screen. And I do have some screens missing here. I haven't done the whole thing. Um, you can go back to the first screen, which should be your phone screen with the app icon. I don't have that here. But you'll go back to that screen and then you can click play in the top corner. And that's going to pull up and let you test. So here, I'm just showing you what I just did. So I'm on my primary navigation here. If I click this, that's leading me to my hidden navigation, which I just showed you how I created that. Okay. And so that is kind of how you kind of navigate, create your stills, create your prototype. Once you're done with your prototype, then you can click share. This is when you turn in your final. And instead of just inviting me, um, you can also copy the link here. And you can, I'm going to make sure we have it. Yeah, make sure that I can access or make sure it's open to me so I don't have to have a permission to view. But make sure it's open and it's not locked or anything. But you can also copy the link. And when you you can also email me that link. Just paste it in an email and you can send me a link to it. But if you're in my team and if you're in my project that I've created for the class, I should be able to see your work live throughout the whole process. And I will be able to look at your work and comment on it as you're working on it. So you'll see my comments on the right, and be able to see it live as you're working. So, but this is the navigation in general. There's a lot that you can do with this program, but I think this will be a lot easier to build for you and more efficient. So we are going to see how it goes. Okay. If you have any questions about my comments on here, just let me know. Happy designing. Thank you.